Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Hartley with Action Coach. What needs to pivot in my business, kickstart your day, get you refocused, because business is changing daily right now. Well, good day and welcome to our weekly, daily webinar on what needs to pivot. I am Dr. Michael Hartley. I'm a non-medical doctor. I operate on business, and our focus for this week, for the next 5 episodes, is really going to be the preparation to sprint and making sure we are ready for it, because business is opening back up, the state is opening back up, the country is opening back up slowly but surely, and will continue to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And so we must be ready for it. So let's dive in. From chaos to control, your mindset is absolutely critical to be focusing on every single day, and which is why I'm going to work with you on focusing on it every single day as well. So today's topics are going to be: what day will your business run without you? Have you put that date on the calendar at which point your business will fully function without you needing to operate in it at a scalable fashion, to where it can continue to grow, and you don't necessarily need to be present every single day? You're out of the day-to-day operations if you so choose. We hear all the time of, well, I love what I do, I want to keep doing it. Great. We want to make sure that you are in a position to choose whether you are working in it or not. So that way you can go take vacations and things like that whenever you want and not bring work with you. So first exit of your business is the day in which it is working to run without you. The second date that I want you to document is the day in which you're going to sell the business. And for how much do you want to sell it for? And so working without you may be in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 to 5 years, depending on your state of business, the point in which it is right now. The point in which you sell it may be 10, 15 years from now. It could also be 3 to 5 years from now. It just depends on when you exit the day-to-day operations. Do you want that to be the same point in which you sell it, or do you want to sell it later down the road? Do you want to have that passive income for a while? Do you want to take the investment cash flow that you have and put it into the next business or multiple locations? Have you identified these dates? If you haven't, then you're going to do that today. Put a date out there, and then identify how many weeks between today and that date. That's how many weeks you get to work on your business to make sure that by the time you achieve that date, by the time we get there, you're prepared for it. And that may seem like a lofty goal for some, and that may seem like, oh man, I wish that was 2 years ago for some. Wherever you're at on that scale, on that gradient, what's going to be your date? Write it down. Identify how many weeks between now and then. So that way, as we coach you, we understand the pace at which you must be focused on your business, the pace at which you must sprint. That way, we're not just focused on what needs to be done today. We have an ultimate focus that we're driving you towards. And then what percent of your focus is driving you towards those dates? So what percentage of every day, every week, every month, quarter, year, what percentage needs to be focused on the business to drive you there? Minimum, we want an hour a day, 5 hours a week. And again, for some, that's a build towards date. I'm going to build towards working on my business an hour a day. And for some, I can just flip the switch and it's there tomorrow. So if you are in that, I need to work towards it, then focus on 30 minutes twice a week right now. So it's an hour a week. Then focus on getting to 2.5 hours a week. Then focus on 3 to 4 hours a week. Then focus on an hour a day. Start making decisions as though you are the business owner, you are the CEO of that business instead of the one that you are currently. So think about that. When you go to make decisions for your business, make decisions based off of the business that you desire to have, and how would you make decisions as that CEO, as that business owner, versus the business owner you are today of the size of the business you have. When you start mentally putting yourself into that mindset, you will start to make decisions a lot differently, because you're allowing yourself to get out of the day-to-day frustrations, fires, stress, anxiety, and you allow yourself to start thinking more strategically on a broader, larger scale. And so we want you to be focused that way. So how do you get there? Well, we first and foremost, we put dates out there so we understand where we're going, in what cadence and pace, how fast do we need to be moving to get you there? What percentage of your time needs to be dedicated every single day and week based on that pace? And now we want you to start thinking about, who do I need to become to be the business owner of that destination? And how do I start making decisions today as though that were where I'm already at? So focus on your mindset on future pace versus current. It'll allow you to move differently. It'll allow you to think differently. And oftentimes it brings clarity, because now I understand where we're going, which can help reduce anxiety and stress and in the moment reactions. It allows you to step outside and actually respond, which is why I keep asking the question, what's your after? You see that destination point where we're going? That's the after. So what does your after really look like? How detailed have you drawn it out, written it out, typed it out? Quick aside, write things down. Typing it's great. It's you can keep it forever in a digital, on the cloud, wherever. Write things out first. And when you write it, use multiple colors. There's a reason why, like right here next to my desk, I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 different colors of pens. And if you look at my notes over here on my desk, they're all in different colors, because you're 30% more likely to accomplish something when it's both written down and written in different colors. And then it exponentially increases when you start talking about sharing it with somebody else and having them hold you accountable to it. And you're over 65% more likely. Like, it starts going through the roof, which is why we coach you the way we do. So what's your after? What does the end result look like? Get very detailed on it. The state and the country is beginning to get back into this warming up to sprint phase. Unless you are in certain states, and there's only a handful that are still really getting hit with this thing. And even those are starting to release certain restrictions depending on where you're at. Unless you are in New York City, New York. We have some clients in, Long Island and things like that. And it's their restrictions are starting to lighten up. As long as you're not in, New York City, New York type thing, the majority of the country is starting to open back up. So you must be prepared. If you haven't done the first 3 phases properly, then look here and go focus on those things. Focus on how your marketing strategies need to pivot, and your communication and your messaging needs to be put more through the lens of empathy, so other people know that you are truly here to, that you really care and you're truly here to help. And there's got to be ethics behind it. You must truly care and want to help. Your mindset must be prepared to sprint ahead. Your team, if you have a team, must be prepared for the path forward and the new regulations, especially if they are, a brick and mortar type location, or if they're a service-based industry and they're engaging with customers or clients. There's some new protocols that are going to be put in place. If you haven't looked for other opportunities and new strategic partners and way to, package what you do with others together, you must do that right now. It'll help that relaunch of your business. So then we get into that right where we're at right now, which is between phase 3 and phase 4. We are about to start sprinting, which is why this entire week is going to be focused on the sprint ahead. The amount of energy, focus, and ownership you must have right now is through the roof. Whatever you do, we talked to a couple of weeks ago. If you go back a couple episodes on routine, make sure you have that routine locked in, because we must focus on what we need to do to have the energy we're going to need to have if we desire to sprint. If your desire is to have a slow walk, you might not be the right person to run your business. And that's okay too, by the way. You may be better off hiring somebody else to run your business. Now, ultimately, you're going to do that anyways. So if you're sitting here going, I prefer a slower pace, then maybe look at going, how do I bring actually somebody on? What do I need to do to make sure the business is ready to bring somebody on, to let them sprint in the business? Because that's ultimately it's what we want to do. It's going to be better for them. It's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for the economy. It's going to be better for your customers and your clients. So how much energy do you need? How much focus do you need? How do you take ownership every single day of what you are focused on and the actions you're taking to get towards the results you want to get? If you haven't created a 30-day sprint plan, you need to create one today. If you haven't sent it to your coach, you need to send it to them today, or your mentor. You see, when you create the plan and you share it with somebody and then you update it week over week, it allows you to understand what pivots need to be made within the month versus just looking back and going, well, this kind of worked, that kind of didn't work. Make shifts faster by tracking things at a more granular level. On the business side, how many leads do you need to have right now? Every single day, not week, not month, daily. How many leads? Maximum effort. It's about going, okay, how do I have the maximum effort with the most efficiency possible? It's not just about being busy, it's about being effective. Focus is more important because we need to make sure that we're not getting distracted by stuff that is truly a distraction, that's going to reduce our effectiveness, that's going to make us go, oh, well, this seems urgent, so maybe I just need to go do this, when in reality, it may seem urgent, but it's not really important. And then what are the systems we're putting in place to test and measure everything that we can? Week 1 of every single month, focus on what KPIs you're focused on tracking and testing and measuring this month. So if this is week 1 when you're watching this, then, and every month moving forward, week 1 are KPIs. What are we tracking, testing, and measuring this month that are most important and influential to the business? Then in week 2, we look at finances, and we're going to look back, because by the 10th of every single month, you should have your numbers locked in and understand what they were for the previous month. And so now we can look back with actual data and say, okay, what was the things that got accomplished and what didn't, and where did we hit and where did we miss, and what needs to be adjusted for the next month, so on and so forth. So what are your KPIs? What needs to be tracked, tested, and measured this month to make your business and you super successful? Time to sprint. I'm unable to make it more simple than that. So let's go through the list of things that we are going to focus on this week. More specifically today, reallocation of mindset is the number one thing. We talked about this back in March. Reallocation of assets is important. You are your greatest asset right now. Then time, then your team. So your mindset is the first one. How are you shifting your mindset every single day to make sure it is focused on where we need to be? We talked about questions you can ask and things like that last week. Reallocation of time. So how do I go, okay, for the month of May, with the focus I must have, with the sprint I have ahead of me, where must I allocate time towards? What is most important to me? What is the most important to the business? How do I give myself energy? How do I reduce distractions? How do I increase efficiency? So mindset first, where we apply our time, reallocation of time. Second. Third, reallocation of current products, services. Again, you may have made some pivots over the past month and a half. What pivots need to maintain forever, and what things can you start to, reduce over the course of the next 6 weeks as we go to opening the country back up? What things have you not added or shifted in your products or services that you may still need to? So take a clear look at that. Fourth one are your daily KPIs. So based off of your pivot and reallocation of mindset, how you apply yourself to time, what you offer in products or services, what are the KPIs, the critical drivers and results? Those are leading and lagging indicators, key performance indicators. So indicators, you have leading indicators, critical drivers, daily activity. You have lagging indicators, the results of all that work. Too many businesses focus just on the results without also focusing on the daily activity. So what are those that you need to be tracking right now? Ultimately getting us to the last one of reallocation of our systems and processes that are documented, that we follow to help support the first four. So how do we have a mindset system? How do we have a time system? How do we have a system for how we deliver our product or services? How do we have a system for tracking our KPIs? And again, if you're a client of ours, we give you all those resources on the systems of how to start tracking, testing, and measuring it. And if you're not, then we will sit down with you for a complimentary session. It's that straightforward. You see, if I asked you right now, is the business and the dynamic of our economy static or dynamic? 100% of you are most likely going to say it's dynamic. So in a dynamic world, we must have other people looking at what we are doing. And that's why we're going to offer you a complimentary session so we can actually do that for you. Where you can invest 2 hours of your time towards focusing on a plan that you can then leverage for the next 12 months. So Have you reallocated your mindset and put a system in place for it? Have you reallocated how you apply yourself to the time we are given and put a system in for that? Have you reallocated what you offer in products or services and how you deliver it? And have you put in a system, a documented process for that, and your daily KPIs? Have you shifted what you are focused on tracking in activity, critical drivers, and results every single day, and a system for that? This is where we must focus on to help us be prepared for the sprint ahead. With consistency, we find success. It's that straightforward. With consistency, we find success. The only marketing is consistent marketing. The only time efficiency system you'll ever have is with when you focus on it consistently. The only communication that works is consistent communication. Whatever you do, choose to do it consistently, because if you don't, you're not actually going to be able to gain traction. And if you're watching this right now, and again, you're not currently a client of ours, we will give you a complimentary session. It's simply, all you gotta do is scan this QR code right now with your the camera on your phone. It'll bring up a link. You can schedule the session yourself with a time that works for you based off of our calendar. It's that straightforward. And if you're like, you know what, I'm not really interested in a 2-hour session, we'll give you a 20-minute call just to make sure that you have an understanding of where we're focused at. My request of you is to put into the chat or the comments the one thing that you are going to take from today's episode and apply to your life every single day, consistently, starting today. If you're not connected with us, get connected with us. Dr. Michael Hartley, or you have the other links right there for all the different platforms. What's one thing that you are going to start being consistent on today in the preparation to sprint ahead? The world's about to open back up. We must be prepared. It is that straightforward. So what's the one thing for you? Please go ahead, type it in, and make it a phenomenal rest of